World Series might be coming to an end after tomorrow, so I want to make one video about it, just in case. But it's 3-2 now in favor of the Yankees. We're going into Game 6. Game 5, all about Chase Utley, man. I know maybe he didn't score the majority of the Phillies' runs, but he really carried the load for them overall. Cliff Lee pitched a solid game, but he still gave up 5 runs. Not really what you expect from him. You expect him to be consistently dominant the whole way through, like he was in Game 1. He was not. But he pitched solid. It was good enough for the Phillies to get the win, 8-6. The bullpen of the Phillies makes you sweat. They're not very good, especially Brad Lidge. Brad Lidge didn't even get out there yesterday, but it still makes you sweat because it's not a very strong bullpen, but they came out with the W. Now, this was a game I was pretty confident they were going to find a way to win because they did have Cliff Lee going against A.J. Burnett, and going into the game, I knew pretty much that A.J. Burnett was going to get lit up. It was due. It was time. You could just feel it. And then he did. Got taken out in like 2.5, 2 1/3 innings, 2 2/3, something like that. But you just knew it. Or at least I did. I felt it. It's his nature to be inconsistent. And as for tomorrow, well, it's interesting because I know the Phillies are pitching Pedro Martinez, older guy, doesn't have the fire he used to have, can't go as long as he used to, but really, Pedro Martinez and Andy Pettitte are kind of two sides of the same coin, or kind of sort of the same idea. Both of them are older veterans, not dominant like they used to be, but still capable of quality starts. And how old is Pettitte? Yeah, Pettitte's 37. So he can still pitch well, but I think him and Pedro, I would put them on a similar level. So there are going to be opportunities to score runs off both those guys. And that's so now we ask ourselves, who's hitting better right now? The Phillies, Chase Utley, Jason Worth, those guys are balling. And Jimmy Rollins, I think, is playing pretty well, but he, especially in Game 5, he had the unfortunate luck of constantly being at bat with 2 outs. So he's a leadoff hitter. I don't want to put that all on him. He kind of got unlucky in that game with all the 2-out hitting he had to do. But you know, Ryan Howard's been completely useless. He's about to break a World Series strikeout record. And Ibanez played pretty good in Game 5, but on the whole, he hasn't been giving them that much. So on the average, those guys are due. Got to keep that in mind. So if one of those guys, or even, you know, both of those guys, breaks out of their slump, and they are good players, and they're due to break out of that slump, they're not going to stay like that forever, then this series obviously becomes completely different. Now, the Yankees, they're having slumps as well. Teixeira has been hitting terrible pretty much the whole World Series, really the whole playoffs. A-Rod is a mixed bag. He's had some big hits, but his average is terrible. Damon's playing out of his mind. I mean, Damon might be World Series MVP material if this keeps up. And I know that sounds a little weird out there, but he is, every time he goes up to the plate, it seems like I expect a run to score. Jeter's playing pretty strong, so both those teams have superstars that are struggling right now. So somebody in that group's got to wake up and have a big game in Game 6, because that's really going to decide things. So Pedro versus Pettitte, I think both those guys are about equal at this point in their career. I don't like one more than the other. You know, this is especially true in baseball because there are so many games of baseball played. It's different from football, where there's a game every week and you have so long to prepare for each game and you have so few games. But in baseball, it's like the teams get lucky because there are so many games. Eventually, the lesser team is going to find a way to win. The lesser team's going to win a lot of games. I mean, by definition, there had to have been a worse team in the league in the MLB this year. Whoever you think it was, I don't know, the Royals, the Athletics, whoever, I don't know who it is. But that team still won more than 50, 60, 70 games, I think. So even the worst teams in the league win 70, 60 times a year. So sometimes maybe it just comes down to luck, and maybe that's what these last 2 games are going to be about. And as speaking of luck, I'm sure the Phillies are really, really hoping for a rain out for Game 6 or 7, and give them the opportunity to pitch Cliff Lee. And if they have the opportunity to pitch Cliff Lee, do it, because there is no tomorrow. It's not like he's got to pitch again in 3 days. He doesn't have to pitch again for like 5 months. So I'm not going to throw out our prediction for tomorrow because I don't know, guys. I don't know. I really want this series to go 7 because I'm not going to be able to watch Game 6. So if I absolutely had to, I would probably pick the Phillies to win tomorrow, just because if the Yankees win, the series is going to end and I'm not going to be able to see it, and that would suck. But going to be fun. Great game tomorrow, hopefully, but I'm not going to get to watch it. So those of you who will, enjoy. I'm out.